Saraya, we just tweeted about this, or we're DMing about it yesterday, announcing her departure from All Elite Wrestling after a couple years stint. She had debuted there in late 2022 as part of a new podcast that she started up, I think with Entertainment Weekly or whatever it is. She announced on her first episode that she is leaving AEW. And, she's expressed some interest in other recent interviews while promoting her new book that came out this past week of going back to WWE, which seems to be on the table for her. Don't know if I could say the same thing for WWE's end. So, instant reaction, Mr. Marceau, to Saraya announcing her departure from AEW and what you think is next for her.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty surprised. I thought I heard recently that she re-signed, so when I saw it come up that she was there was a mutual parting of ways, I was a little surprised, but I mean, they really haven't really used her a ton, so one, I didn't know why she would re-sign to begin with. It wasn't like they really used her. Last year, I feel like they barely used her. And then when she re-signed, I was like, hey, maybe the money's good. It's cooking. You might as well just get the check while you are. And then I saw it, I think when they said yesterday she's departing. But, I mean, for me specifically, I'm okay with her not going back to WWE. I mean, I feel like I've seen it. It's not like her in-ring's really been that good when she came back. I've seen reports that Mariah May might be coming up on a contract this summer, so I think I'd rather her go to WWE than Saraya. So I'd put my eggs in that basket over Saraya, but I think she's a decent talent. She wasn't really used that well, but it doesn't overly surprise me as well that she mutually parted ways.
Well, I mean, the fact that she re-signed doesn't overly surprise me, just because, like you said, it was probably a sweet deal that she re-signed for late last year. I guess I was just more so wondering why AEW would bother to re-sign her, because apparently, according to what she said, this was a mutual agreement for her to leave the company. So, I mean, she obviously would want to leave, because they really haven't done a whole lot with her, and she made maybe one or two appearances after her. She had like a Grand Slam match, not in Australia recently, but when they do Grand Slam in New York City, she had like that blow-off match with Jamie Hayter, because I think they used to be aligned and then they weren't, or that she took her out, whatever it was. They had their big blow-off, and then the reports were that her contract was up, and then she came back for like an appearance or two after that, and then she disappeared again. So, I mean, I guess it was more so surprising to me that Tony Khan would re-sign her. I mean, he likes to re-sign a lot of people, so maybe not overly surprising. But, like, I guess there was no plan to really do anything with her, have her put over Harley Cameron on the way out. They were aligned towards the end there before Harley Cameron kind of broke off on her own and started doing her own thing and getting over. So that kind of surprised me. But even still, I mean, going back to what you said, we'll get to Mariah May a little bit later on because that's a great topic that I kind of forgot about from a couple days ago. We had posed the question when Saraya debuted in AEW 2.5 years ago, is this a game changer for the AEW women's division? You're shaking your head no. I mean, I already know the answer to this question, but revisiting that conversation that we had 2.5 years ago, we know she wasn't a game changer, but why do you think that is? Was it on her end or AEW's end or a bit of both?
I would probably say more AEW's end. I mean, I feel like all the people they brought in, her, Tony, I feel like at least they've gotten something out of. Mercedes. I mean, every time they debut these women, new game changer, women's division is going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be over now. And I mean, I feel like I said, Tony's actually done something. I wouldn't say she's a game changer. It's not like people are flocking to AEW because she's there. Same with Mercedes,
Sure.
But I don't know. I just feel like Paige, I mean, she was out of the ring for a while, or Saraya, my bad. But she was out of the ring for a while, and it just never really clicked. They did like the whole thing with her, Ruby, and Tony before she went to Timeless. I mean, the whole thing was like the Outcast, and it was kind of terrible.
Yeah.
They did like her and Britt Baker, and then like kind of there was just downhill from there. So, I mean, I think she was. I don't know if it was just. I just feel like she never really got her footing, and I really don't remember any memorable matches she really had. So, I mean, I don't know if it was just being out of the ring for so long, and then the creative was just terrible. But I mean, overall, I wouldn't say it was a successful run.
I mean, I think it goes both ways personally, just because they kind of tried when she first came in. I guess she wasn't cleared when she initially debuted, which was kind of weird, but she got cleared before that first match with Britt Baker, which was a fine match. But beyond that, it was kind of all downhill from there. She turned heel literally within months because she wasn't really catching on in the way that I think they thought that she would. Her promos were really not that good at all. Didn't have a whole lot of memorable matches, like you said. I can't think of one, like, truly, oh, man, that was a great Saraya match that she had. She had a couple decent ones with Toni Storm on TV. Jamie Hayter, I liked their last match at Grand Slam in New York a couple of months ago, but that's really about it. I don't know. Maybe it's because she was injured for so long. She got injured back in 2018, was out of the ring for almost 5 years, but she's been back in the ring now for a while. She had said originally when she came to AEW that, oh, maybe it's like I'm on a part-time schedule. She's a part-timer, wrestle once a month. Maybe that's not really conducive to having like great matches because she's not really having repetition and whatnot. I'm not exactly sure. She's kind of in a weird spot right now, or was in a weird spot in AEW where they didn't really seem quite know what to do with her. And now she finds herself in free agency. As far as the WWE thing, we'll get to that in a second. I know you mentioned it earlier. I want to read through a couple of these. But West Wave Farm had said, hello, guys. What's going on, dude? Thanks for joining us. Richie had said earlier, there's nothing left for Saraya to do in WWE or AEW, nor does the Fed need her. Perhaps she can work the indies if she really wants to wrestle still, but I wouldn't lose sleep if she doesn't return. Nathaniel said, I wonder what Saraya would do in WWE. Millennial Noob said, Ruby Soho hasn't done anything in AEW. I know she got pregnant, but you don't have to tell us that. I mean, we were talking about how she was a big deal from the get-go, and they've just done fucking jack shit with her. I mean, a lot of these women have had, like, title runs or, like, a notable feud. Ruby Soho had none of that. She's gotten what it feels like a million fucking title shots since her WWE run, and I just kind of gave up caring a long time ago. But at least Saraya had that moment, to her credit. At least she had that moment where she won the Women's World Championship in England at All In a couple of years ago. So, if nothing else, she did have that. Richie said, I believe Ruby recently had a kid as well. Yeah. But prior to that, I agree. All those video packages went to waste. And Johnny had also said, Tony wastes some money. We'll get back to the rest of the chats in a second. But yeah, as far as Saraya in WWE, I mentioned this before. I know you alluded to it too, Mr. Marceau. But, she's expressed interest in WWE, or rather in interviews that she's done this week about going back to WWE. If you read between the lines, it screams to me, okay, I would love to go back to where I once was. And I don't really think she wanted to leave a couple years ago. The only reason why she left in 2022 when Triple H first took over, one, her contract expired. Two, they probably had no use for it. And three, and this is why two happened, because she couldn't get cleared. They didn't want to clear her. AEW cleared her within like 6 months of her leaving WWE. So now that they know that she can wrestle again, albeit maybe not at the level that she used to a decade ago, do you think there's a spot for Saraya in this modern day WWE? Because I personally don't think so, at least on an active, full-time basis.
No, I feel like I kind of alluded to that before. I don't specifically want to see her back. I feel like they have plenty of great women they're not utilizing now that have probably more potential than she currently has at 32 years of age, and she'll be 33 by the end of the year. I mean, they have plenty of women on Raw, SmackDown, coming up from NXT that I think you can put more into and get more out of it currently. I mean, like I said, maybe 3 years ago when she came back and women's division was kind of just a 4 horsewomen and we really didn't have anyone else at the time. They were pushing like Bliss, Carmella. I mean, maybe at that point, but I mean, now I feel like they have so many young women that have more potential at this moment that I would kind of pass her by right now.
And not even just young women either, but they have women on the roster that they either recently re-signed or brought back, called up, that they're not doing a whole lot with right now as well. I mean, you got to think, we're on the road to WrestleMania, which we'll kind of segue into in a moment. But like, we're getting Io, Bianca, and Rhea in a feud right now. A feud that stinks, but like, we're getting them in a feud right now. We'll get into that. The creative on that end has been terrible. But at least they're on the Mania card. At least, I mean, not officially, but it's probably going to be a triple threat. But there's so many women not even sniffing TV time right now. Nia Jax, who was on a roll for a while, hasn't been on TV since she lost at Elimination Chamber earlier this month. Who else was there? I mean, Chelsea Green's doing her thing right now. Nikki Bella, they just brought back. She re-signed a deal for probably a part-time deal, I would think. We still don't know what's going on there. Alexa Bliss reportedly re-signed for probably a pretty hefty deal. No idea what's going on there. She had some momentum. She was at Elimination Chamber. We haven't seen her since. No fucking clue what's going on there. It kind of feels like they have a lot of... Roxanne Perez. Roxanne Perez, another prime example. We talked about her last week on the show where she had her thing going with Bayley for a while. And they had that little mini feud and then they dropped it. It made no fucking sense. I mean, it would be nice to see Saraya in like a Royal Rumble, albeit that's like a year away. She did say that it's not like it's wrestling is her everything. She did say she wants to do other stuff and other projects and whatnot. I just don't really see a situation where she can come back and kind of be back in the fold on a regular basis. Maybe what about NXT? I mean, even NXT is a great women's division, but that's where she kind of got her start. Maybe she can kind of lend a helping hand to the women over in NXT. I feel like that wouldn't be a bad idea, right? Or no?
I mean, I guess. I mean, maybe she can take over as GM from Ava. I know you'd probably prefer that, but
yes, and then occasionally
I feel
wrestle a
like
match.
you don't need to bring her back. I don't know. I guess it's just like I feel like people think you have to bring her back for the sake of bringing her back. Like like I said, I personally wouldn't bring her back.
Okay, well, I don't think she's a must hire. Let's put it that way. But they've also brought in some people from AEW that they probably didn't need to. So I wouldn't be surprised. But I mean, I would be happy to see her back. I just don't know really what you would do with her when there's so many other women they could be using instead.